Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice President EMEA, Google Cloud, Sebastien Marotte.
Good morning everyone, welcome. Be very welcome to Google Cloud Next London 2017. We are super excited to host all of you today and tomorrow. We've put a lot of passion, energy to really build this schedule together. You know, actually, it's the largest ever event we are organizing here in Europe and in London. So super thrilled and excited to have all of you here during the next 2 days. So thank you. Thank you for attending. Thank you for supporting us. And thank you for creating this amazing new smart world together. And especially thank you to our partners and customers. And I know we have a lot of customers here in the room today, and a lot of customers also online following this event. So this event is following an amazing event we had a few weeks ago in San Francisco, where we made more than 100 partners, customers, and product announcements. So be ready, we will come back on a lot of these announcements, but also be ready for some new, cool, few additional announcements. So this is an amazing opportunity. We're organizing that once a year, and it's a great opportunity to connect our technical people, our engineers, product managers, with the developer community that is attending this event. But also, it's a great opportunity for the business population, if you run your business, to get some insight and best practice sharing from a lot of our customers. And we have a very specific, dedicated session for our top executives that are attending this event. And we have our top executive coming from Mountain View, from America actually, that will be here actually to interact with you. So again, this is a great opportunity to spend the next 48 hours. So what is Google Cloud? We've been in this business for many years and I had the chance actually to start this business 6 years ago. And you know, Google Cloud to a certain extent is an extension to everything we are doing at Google. If you think about the Google mission is really to organize the world's information and really make it universally accessible and useful. Think about the enterprise space. It's a bit different actually. It's exactly the same actually. It's all about the data, and it's all about how can we turn this data into innovation and creative ideas to really change the way we run our business, to build competitive advantage, and to really grow our business. So what we've done at Google Cloud, we have built a highly scalable, safe, very secure platform based on the cloud to help you build your business. So many companies that build their business on Google Cloud, run your business and grow your business. This is really what we are passionate about. And if you think about it, it's 3 or 4 pillars that we have built. The number one pillar is infrastructure. Infrastructure as a service. This is just infrastructure that we have built ourselves at Google to build our business since day one and to grow our business at Google. This is the infrastructure that is being used by billions of users. You might know that we have more than 7 services or applications that are being used by more than 1 billion users at Google. And also, something you might not know is that our customers who are using Google Cloud Platform are serving more than 1 billion users every single day. And this is also the platform that is hosting this amazing data analytics engine. And everything we are doing in this platform is machine learning centric. So we are baking machine learning in every single thing we are doing. So you will find also amazing smart data APIs like translation, image recognition, video recognition, a lot of announcements we have done a few weeks ago that are really benefiting your business. Not only these services are available in the platform, but it's also an amazing development and deployment environment for developers. Think about all of these services around Kubernetes, around API management, and all the container management. It is a very, very advanced platform. So this is really the infrastructure as a service that we are proposing to your company. So the other thing which is extremely important is we want to change the way you run your business internally. We really want to change the way you're collaborating inside your company. You're engaging your employees. We really want them to live collaborate to bring more innovation, to surface new ideas, which has a direct impact on your customers. It's all about creating competitive advantage. It's all about bringing new ideas and turning these ideas in new innovative business models to gain market share and to grow your business. And so this is what we are doing with G Suite. And we have rolled out a platform like G Suite in more than 3 million organizations around the world. And also, we are totally passionate about devices. We want to reinvent the way you access this information. We really believe that this world is mobile. It's all about mobility. And think about the platform we have developed, like Android for Work or Chrome OS. Chrome OS is just the fastest, most secure, shareable, and easy to manage operating system. It is so successful in some areas like education, for instance, that is getting now imitated in the marketplace. But it's really something that we care about, is making sure that we live in a mobile-first environment. So we know that, having been in this industry quite for some time now, cloud is by far the biggest thing going on IT. I mean, you are accelerating. It's amazing. Again, I've been 6 years in this business at Google. I was so privileged to meet a lot of you, a lot of customers. And what I'm seeing, what I've seen during the past 18 months has nothing to see compared to anything I've seen before. This is getting really accelerating, as I said. And we are also accelerating the business at Google Cloud. I mean, if you think about it, from delivering this amazing data analytics applications and machine learning engagement with our customers, we are literally now fully lifting and shifting all your workloads into our cloud. Our amazing engineers have released more than 500 releases during the past few years. We have launched new products like cloud machine learning, like Spanner, but also, and especially in Europe, which is, of course, very high priority. We have invested in a lot of enterprise requirements for compliance, security, and networking. Security, compliance is really very top of the list in regions like Europe. So, and last but not least, it's really about use case. At the end of the day, our customers, we are delivering the technology, our customers are coming with net new ideas. We are here to solve problems. And we are engaging with a lot of different verticals, whether it's financial services, it's healthcare, it's retail, manufacturing, transportation, energy, or government. So more and more, we are leveraging this experience actually to replicate this experience in our customer base. And it's really about our customers. And this is, again, a great opportunity during these 2 days to meet and learn from these customers. We have, as I said, 3 million organizations using Google Cloud around the world. It's more than 1 million organizations here in EMEA, and we are learning together every day. And you will hear about this organization on stage, actually, today. You will hear about a very large global bank, one of the largest, if not the largest in the world, that have decided actually to leverage data analytics and machine learning to change the way they interact with their customers. You will learn from retail companies on how they are leveraging mobility, G Suite, the productivity suite, maps to manage their assets, or data analytics for customer insights. Every day, digital native companies and more very large enterprise traditional companies are coming to us to shift, to lift and shift their workload into the cloud. So the opportunities are absolutely endless. You bring the ideas, we turn these ideas into business models. So I'd like to close this introduction with something which is very close to my heart, our partners. You know, something is to provide the greatest technology on the world, another thing is to be enterprise ready. And there is a key component in our development is to build this partner ecosystem. And over the past few months, quarters, and years, we have built an amazing ecosystem in Europe with more than 200 partners, whether it's global system integrators, or it's technological partners. They are here to help you deploying, bringing the value of their technology in our open platform and deploying your projects. And especially, I really want to thank those partners who have contributed to making this event, to organizing this event. And please visit these partners. We've got an exhibition center. So, to close this introduction, Google is extremely serious about this business. We are investing massively. And I think to get the best demonstration, let's hear it from an industry expert, She's amazingly connected in this business. She's a visionary, and she's our Google Cloud leader. Let's welcome on stage Diane Greene. Welcome, Diane.
And it's so great to be here in London with all of you folks so interested in the cloud. And, you know, it's just been such an intense year. We have kind of a little internal logo at Google. It's a cloud, but it's wearing sunglasses because it's kind of shining so brightly. I mean, I think we have about 4 times the number of people here this year than when I was last here. And really looking forward to the 2 days here and what we're all going to do together. As Sebastien said, we've got a couple customers here today, a bank, a cosmetics retailer, and we had our big conference in San Francisco where we also had Schlumberger, we had Home Depot, we had Verizon, Colgate, Palmolive, SAP, all with us on stage. And we also had some startups. We had an interesting startup, Planet, that takes pictures every 3 hours of the entire Earth with their satellites. And we had from the UK, we had Improbable doing massively scalable simulations for online games for cities and so forth. And if you are a startup, you know, I think it's just an amazing time because of how rapidly you can develop. You know, you can have a whole container fleet running on your laptop and just bring it to Google Cloud, to any cloud. There's all the templates, there's all the APIs. And, you know, as an example, we had Niantic Labs with Pokemon Go. They were just almost overnight went to being the #1 game, and their usage was 50x what they estimated. And what they said was, you know, Google Cloud took the risk out of their success, okay? And they're using open source, they're using Kubernetes, Apache Beam, Hsbc, and it gives them a lot of freedom. And if you go to the enterprise, you also want freedom, but we've been out talking with you, and you're not sure, some of our enterprise customers feel a little stuck, like how do I get started? Who do I do this with? You know, do I need to train my people? What's the first thing to do? Okay, how am I gonna do it? You know, how much is it gonna cost? Do I need to rewrite all my code? And how long is it going to take? Am I going to save dollars? Am I going to be locked in again with open source? Okay. So we're working with you to develop long-term value here. We're going to be with you for the long term, and we're going to show you how to get started. We've spent kind of the last year building out our organization so we can really meet you where you are. We can bring you our engineers. We have our sales engineers. We can do a proof of concept with you. We have the office of the CTO where we can have senior architects in your industry domain working with you. We have solutions architect to help you architect your specific solution. We have professional services that you can engage to work with you. And then we have customer reliability engineers modeled after Google's site reliability engineers to keep your services running, strategic engineers to work with you for the long term, because this is a long-term commitment on our part. And then we also have our partners. We have our system integrators. We have our boutiques, like App Broker, like Rely, Devoteam. And then the big system integrators, Accenture, Deloitte, Pricewaterhouse. And then, of course, there's your team, your engineers that we will train and we will certify. So you have to do a migration. Migrations started out, they really took a long time. We think something's changed. We've kind of broken the speed barrier. You know, the original poster child for the cloud was kind of Netflix. They spent about 7 years moving to the cloud. They had just a crackerjack team of technical people. Well, that's really changed. And what we bring is a really clear methodology, a set of tools, a very mature platform. And we have customers like Lush, the UK cosmetics retailer. They were able to move their point of sale, their inventory, the whole ball of wax in about a month. Ocado, the grocery online, they had open source data flow. They got it on Google Cloud in 6 hours. Or we had Evernote, which wanted out of their data center, and they didn't want to have to renew their lease, which was a few months out. And they had 3 petabytes of data, and they got there in under 3 months. So we're really, in addition to being able to move you there, work with you, we're also creating this long-term value. I mean, no matter what, are you running a bank? Are you running a hospital? Are you running a store, building a game, building media, making energy? You know, every vertical in every corner of the globe, we're working with you. We're investing heavily. We spent $30 billion over the last 3 years in CapEx. Deeply committed to being mission critical. Cloud Harmony recognized us as being the most available cloud for 2016. And then our software stack. We have things, you know, Google, it's literally in our mission, organize the world's information, to manage your data superbly. And one of our crown jewels, Spanner, completely scalable SQL transactional system running a lot of Google is now available in Google Cloud. Or G Suite, we can now bring you all that collaboration and productivity as a team, as a group of people. Security is so important today. It's just topmost of mind on every board member, every C-suite, every engineer. Nobody wants to be hacked. Google has paid attention to every layer of the stack, starting with the chips. And something that's starting to become a tradition at Google, we have our own proprietary security chip, the Titan, that can protect your hardware and authenticate it. And it's so small that I can wear it in my ear. Pioneered by Urs Huszel, who runs our data centers and infrastructure at our conference in San Francisco. But anyhow, as you move up the stack, you know, we secure all the way to the endpoints with things like Chromebooks, completely manageable, you know, hardware-based, two-factor authentication. And data privacy, you know, I have to sometimes remind people, Google Cloud is about customers. Your data is private to you. Google doesn't use it, it's for you. And one thing I want to announce today, you know, perhaps the most impactful privacy regulation of the last 20 years is the General Data Privacy Regulation, GDPR, which is going to go into effect in the EU in May 2018. And Google is committed to having full support for that by May 2018. We will put that in your contracts that we are committed to that. It's very important. Another indication of how carefully we are supporting all this, we announced a major partnership with SAP, certainly supporting SAP on Google Cloud. We think we have advantages there. We both feel that way. All kinds of integrations, machine learning, G Suite, but also that they will be a data trustee for Google Cloud. And that will be a journey over the next 3 years where they will have your data rather than Google. So There's security. Another thing is digital transformation. What is that all about? Is that real? And there's moving to the cloud, taking advantage of all the power there. There's also, can you change your culture? Can you actually be more collaborative? Can it be easier to surface new ideas and new innovations? You know, here at Google, we use G Suite all day, every day for our meetings, for our video meetings, for real-time collaboration. I'm quite sure we wouldn't have gotten as much done as we have in the last year without G Suite. There's a lot of change management. Just like migration, we have a lot of experience with helping you through that. You can really start small if you want to. It's getting integrated with everything we do, infused with the AI. You'll hear more about it later. And then finally, in Google Cloud, all the radical new stuff that we're bringing to you. You know, we want to help you unlock the value in your data, and machine learning, AI, we hear about it everywhere. It's maybe time to lean into what it means for your company, work with us on how to apply machine learning to your data. We have a toolkit, we've open sourced it, TensorFlow. We work with customers like Airbus. You build a model to find the clouds in their satellite images. We have an advanced systems lab. You can come in and work with our machine learning experts to build models for your data. You can work with our partners. And then we have a whole slew of APIs, as Sebastien was mentioning. And in fact, one of them we're announcing today, natural language processing, which people are increasingly using for chatbots, for their call centers and all kinds of things. eBay uses it to let people know what's on eBay. Ocado did sentiment analysis with it. And today we're announcing that we've extended the number of languages supported from 3 to 9 languages. Google has such a long history in machine learning from the very beginning when our founders saw the importance of it right from the get-go. And now we have DeepMind here in the UK, we have Google Brain, and we have Cloud ML, which is very focused on democratizing it for you, all of our customers, making it very, very easy to use. So our commitment to you is that we're going to build together with you. We're going to have shared responsibility. Okay. We're committed to open rather than locking you in. And we're just laser focused on being where to go for mission critical workloads, for security, for high availability, for unlocking the value of your data. And we just see every industry transforming. And it's so exciting to us to see what each of you is going to do. And we can't wait to do it all with you and see where we are in a year. Just get to the cloud. Thanks. And now I want to welcome on stage our incredible Chief Technical Officer, Brian Stevens, to tell you more about Google Cloud. Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. All right, welcome everybody. Good morning. So hyperscale cloud isn't anything that's new to Google. I think everybody understands that. You know, we've been at hyperscale cloud for a long time, and internally that's actually how we're architected. It's a single globally scalable platform that's actually provisioned on demand for the Google apps long before we offered that externally. And it's actually, we have what's internally, what I thought was really cool on joining, this thing called the resource economy. And what that does, that actually sets internal market pricing, which fluctuates over time based on supply and demand, just like you see in an external economy. And that's how we actually charge back the internal users like Search and others that are actually using our cloud. And so as we said today, that cloud, that hyperscale cloud powers 7 Google apps of over 1 billion users each. And so as we move to offer that externally to end users, it really wasn't that much different, because the goal's the same, is how do we actually enable users to actually build amazing apps and deploy them at global scale, and free them from the burden of worrying about things like reliability and security of the underlying platform. And so now, as Sebastien was saying, we don't have 1 billion users yet for Google Cloud. There is no Fortune 1 billion. We're shooting for millions instead. But our customers actually serve over 1 billion end users already. So Google's been building infrastructure for the better part of 15 years, right, all over the world. And that comes in the form of custom design hardware, energy efficient data centers, custom networking gear, the world's largest SDN, and now most recently, because of machine learning, we had to build specialized ASIC processors to deal with the scale of machine learning, because commodity servers aren't going to be able to keep up. And so in just the last 3 years alone, nearly $30 billion was spent on the underlying infrastructure. A little bit of lag. And this investment shows in our global network backbone. So today, it's estimated by analysts that this backbone carries on the order of 1/3 of all internet traffic. So when you think about that, and what does that mean to you? So for for Google Cloud customers and G Suite customers, you get better throughput, means lower latency, means higher security, and we get that just because of this physical network presence that we have in over 182 countries and regions around the world. And by comparison, the UN recognizes 193 members. So, but to carry your traffic everywhere, you actually have to cross oceans. And so 9 years ago, Google was actually the first non-telecom to actually build an underseas cable. And that was the Unity cable from the US to Japan. So since then, we've been acquiring submarine, fiber optics capacity, globally. So now we actually have redundant capacity to nearly everywhere in the world. And as that, last year we actually we set a record, a 60 terabit per second link underneath the sea from the US to Asia. And shortly, we'll be offering a new link that doubles that performance that goes from the US to South America. And so this network's actually a really critical component to our cloud strategy, because it also connects not just the cloud to our end users, but our clouds to each other. And so last year we announced that we're building 11 new regions. And so of those, Oregon and Tokyo are already live. In the next few months, Singapore and Northern Virginia go live. And shortly after that, we will be unveiling Sydney and London. Yeah. And we recently have launched plans for 3 more regions, Netherlands, Canada, and California. And all of these actually will come live this year or next, and it brings our total global region count to 17, and our total number of zones within those regions to 50. So when you use Google Cloud as an external user, you're obviously running on the same infrastructure, but you also get the same security models that we use to protect all of Google. And so we've been investing an enormous amount into security on a year-over-year basis across users, across operations, across systems, across networking. And so today I'm going to show you a few highlights of the security capabilities. We actually have a detailed security white paper that we published externally, and then there'll be more talks over the course of the next 2 days that go into even deeper detail. So it starts with the physical aspects of security. This actually is a European data center in Finland that's going to be coming online soon for Google Cloud. But it starts actually with just the physical aspects of greater than 138 security guards just protecting this. But when you walk inside is when you really see the magic. Motion detectors everywhere. It really feels like you're in Mission Impossible. To actually walk into the actual data center room itself, there's actually an iris scanner to get onto the data center floor. But many of our locations, if you saw the picture earlier, they aren't just single data centers. They're actually data center campuses. And what that means is this huge investment that we make into physical security, it's really amortized across hundreds and hundreds of thousands of servers. So on GCP, low prices doesn't mean that we have to compromise on security. And so as Diane was saying, that security chip in her ear, that's a custom Google-built security chip. So we know exactly what it does, and we put it on all of our new servers. And that sets the root of trust for that machine's identity at any time from boot and onward. And so it protects, full firmware everywhere we put it, as well as the BIOS. And so this is actually us using it on a networking card. And so with that, we can actually control server to server. Anytime we have services that contact each other, then they actually mutually authenticate them using the capabilities of this chip. Also, all of our binaries inside of Google Cloud are cryptographically signed. And when you use our storage systems, they use centralized key management so that all pieces of data are encrypted before they ever hit physical storage. But a system's really only secure as its user accounts, and phishing is probably the #1 attack vector today on large companies, or even small companies. And so with Google Cloud, though, we have a really sophisticated anti-fraud mechanism that actually helps protect you against either a hacker using, guessing a password or using a stolen password. But moreover, then when you add to that the second factor security chip, the security key, then you actually get a much deeper level of security against phishing. Right? And that's only available, that's for GCP and G Suite Enterprise, and it's the only cloud that has that offering. And so for end-to-end security, we also ensure that the user's client device is secure. So Chrome, Chrome OS, and Android all are designed for security, right? They're all ground up, they feature cloud management, and they offer over-the-air security updates, because the security updates are perhaps the biggest vulnerability when you don't keep systems up to date. And so all of our client operating systems actually feature hardened boot, and then they encrypt storage on demand. And so, with such a wide range of security capabilities, a managed platform, supporting collaboration, it really makes us proud that users are recognizing it. And with that, Chromebooks outsold Macs last year in 2016. So, as I understand, our security capabilities really help you with your compliance obligations. So in the US, we were just selected to go through the accelerated process for FedRAMP, so we're really proud of that. We've been offering model contract clauses in Europe for a long period of time, and the underlying work that we're doing will set us up for getting ready to commit to GDPR when it rolls out in May of next year. So, Hsbc, the unnamed bank that we were talking about earlier, is a 150-year-old institution. So probably have a little bit of legacy. But the legacy, instead of letting it slow them down, they're actually leaning into cloud, and they're using analytics and machine learning to attack problems like fraud and risk. So we're really fortunate to have David Knott here, who's going to tell us about their efforts.
We are living in a time of rapid digital change, where the only limits are the scale of our ideas and degree of our dedication. The technology ideas of today will be the intuitive habits of tomorrow. Never before has innovation promised so much, touching so many in so many different ways. Our frontier is financial technology. It's changing the way we work, make money, and the way we trust each other. To succeed, we need to adopt the mindset of the Silicon Hubs of the world and create an incubator of free thinkers, thought leaders, innovators born of collaborative spirit, all fueled by a belief that technology will enhance our customers' financial lives. To imagine a future beyond what we already know, creating a team with the power to transform the world's leading financial enterprise. We are technology.
Good morning. When you work for one of the world's largest banks, you get used to dealing with some very big numbers. Here are some of ours. We have 37 million customers in over 70 countries. We manage billions of assets worldwide. We process trillions of payments, trillions of dollars of payments. But the numbers I really want you to focus on are the numbers in the middle of this picture. These numbers talk about our growth in data volumes over the last couple of years. And you'll notice from those numbers, the trend is up and the speed is accelerating. So what are we doing to manage the huge volumes of data we have and to do what gets more and more important every day, which is to derive insight and value from that data? I want to take you on a little bit of a journey. I've got a feeling it's a journey that some of you will be familiar with, because you will have been on this journey yourselves in your own organisations. So this is a picture of kind of the evolution of data technologies at HSBC. So we started over here, where pretty much everybody started, in the land of SQL. Good old-fashioned SQL databases, some older technologies too, but lots of SQL. and life was good, as long as what we wanted to do was to read a row or insert a row or to do a join across a few tables. If we wanted to do something more sophisticated than that, to derive more analytics, we struggled a bit. So we built data warehouses, and we built lots of great analytics models, and we did lots of reporting, and again, life was still good, and we spent quite a few years in this world. The problem was, these technologies didn't really deal well with internet scale, and they didn't really deal fantastically well with the explosion of unstructured data. So fast forward to about 2010, 2011, enter the elephant, the Hadoop ecosystem, explosion of technologies in this space. We embraced this world pretty much as hard as anybody else could. And we've built lots of great big data stacks using a combination of open source and proprietary technologies. But to be honest here, we've experienced mixed success. It turns out that putting that stack together, integrating it, making it work, making it operate at scale, industrializing it, is pretty hard. So we've derived some great insight, we found the data difficult to manage. So to be honest, we still need all of these things. We still want the transactional integrity and performance of good old-fashioned SQL databases. We still want the analytical power of data warehousing. We still want the speed, scale, and innovation of the Hadoop ecosystem. And to be honest, we want more. We want to access the new wave of data technologies, which is what's powering machine learning. What we don't want is we don't want the headache of managing all of the infrastructure, all the massive infrastructure, and the huge range of technologies that sit underneath those capabilities ourselves. So that's why, in our next stage of evolution, we are adopting a cloud-first strategy for big data, analytics, and machine learning, and we're working with Google to make that come true. So here's some examples of real things we're doing. So let me pick just one of these. So anti-money laundering. It's a sad fact that criminals will try to use the financial system to hide the proceeds of crime. And it's one of our duties to detect that when it happens and to report them to the authorities. And that's a hard thing to do. We have to analyse billions of transactions to find anomalies, investigate them, and to figure out whether this is a case of somebody trying to launder money. So what we're doing right now, we're working with Google to build machine learning models to increase our ability to detect genuine cases of financial crime and money laundering, and to reduce the false positives so we can really focus on catching the bad guys. And you see we have plenty of other examples there as well. We've been working on this with Google for about the last 4 to 6 months, and we're just about to go live. Now, 4 to 6 months may sound like an incredibly long time when you just heard Diane talk about 3 months and a few days and a few hours to get things live. To be honest, that time we've taken has got nothing really to do with the technology. We found the technology incredibly easy to use, and in many cases it's taken us a maximum of weeks, sometimes days and sometimes hours, to build the solutions that we're using to solve these problems. The reason we've taken some time is that we take security and risk and compliance incredibly seriously. Our customers trust us to manage and keep private their personal data, and at the end of the day they're trusting us with their money. So we have to make sure that's fully secured. So what we spend our time doing is making sure we understand fully all of the security capabilities in the Google Cloud that Brian just described. We understand how those interface with our own security models, and we're understanding how we can properly secure these use cases. And as I said, we're confident we've secured them when we're just about to go live. We're also confident that by taking that time and applying our intellect and our time to those security problems, our next set of use cases will go faster, and very quickly this will just become normal. We've effectively spent the time to secure for ourselves a safe route to the cloud. So let me summarise. We at Hsbc are a very big global bank. We have very large amounts of data. We're adopting a cloud-first strategy for big data, analytics, and machine learning. We're doing that in partnership with Google, and we're doing it safely, and we're doing it securely. Thank you very much.
Thanks, David. So recently we've announced several new Google Cloud security features, and one addresses a really hard problem in that you need to have personal and confidential information in your data to do business, but you also have to protect it from eyeballs and from egressing out of your organization. So it's a really difficult problem, and one that I think it's amazing that like technology can actually help with that. And so with the DLP API, the Data Loss Prevention API, we actually have addressed that through technology where you can actually, it's in beta now, you can actually define a set of rules and a set of templates, and it can find personally identifiable information, either in text, a block of text, a document, or even an image. So things like a passport or a birth date. And then you set up policies where it can either redact that or anonymize that. And this technology is the same thing that Google used to actually power the capabilities that are in G Suite Drive and Gmail. So another service that we recently announced that has gone generally available is the Cloud Key Management Service. And what that does is it allows you to protect your secrets and your keys when they're at rest. And you can set up rules for, it'll allow you to create keys, but then you can also set up rules for allow those keys to be rotated according to a policy that will keep you in compliance. And significantly, we added some tools that allow you to actually secure your application. So the identity-aware proxy is a service that actually slips in front of your application, and what it does is it allows you to really put in place a set of controls on the policy for how your application can be accessed and by whom. And so with that, the powerful part is that it obviates the needs for things like client-side software, setting up VPNs, or special firewall rules. And so at Google, is a really powerful thing is that you can actually be, if the corporate network ever bogged down, you can hop on the guest network and you can still access all the corporate applications, or you can be at a coffee shop and be just as productive as if you were on campus. And that's really the power of what you get through identity access, through the IP that you don't get with other system-side software. And it's actually built and structured on top of our global load balancer. So you get the transport level of security and you get the scale of the full Google front-end service when you use it. Can I go back one? Okay, I'll just drop the slide. Okay, so next we're going to have Greg DeMichillie is going to walk us through the IAP and some other services.
Thanks, everybody. This is the first of 2 GCP demos you're going to see today, and 2 more tomorrow. We're going to start with a security demo. Every company has your corporate applications that you want to publish to your employees, and they want to access that application whether they're in the office or on the road. And traditionally, as Brian said, you do that with a VPN. How many people love their VPN clients? Yeah, not a lot of hands. They're not fun as an end user, right? So IAP makes it really easy for you to take your cloud-hosted applications and publish them to your end users. So to see how that works, we're going to take a very typical corporate application. In this case, it's a Oracle e-business suite. And we're going to step through the process of publishing that with IAP. So if we can bring the display up, Neil's in the Cloud Console here. And to take this application and make it available by the identity-aware proxy, all he has to do is click the switch. He then has to identify the domain, so the group of users who should be allowed access to this application. He does that, he turns it on, and that's it. That's really all he has to do. Now this application isn't just relying on a VPN for security, it's actually going to authenticate a specific user and a specific device. Much higher security. So to see it in action, Neil's going to try to log into the application. Now, first he's going to use his personal Gmail account, which is not authorized. So he gets prompted to enter his account, he enters his password, and it turns out he can't type on stage. It's a skill, folks. There we go, and he doesn't have access, which is what you would expect to have happen. So now Neil will try it, but this time he will use his account that is authenticated. Same thing, just enter the URL for the application in the browser, no complex setup, enters his credentials. Now, Brian mentioned second factor, and secure second factor authentication is a critical part of doing modern security. So if we switch the side screens to the overhead camera, you'll see Neil has a second factor key attached to this laptop. He's been prompted to enter it. He'll push the key, And now it accepts it, and we're taken straight into the e-business app, and there he is, directly into Oracle e-business suite without having to do a whole lot of complicated setup. That's identity-aware proxy. Take your corporate applications that are hosted in the cloud, publish them to your end users, increase security, easier for devs, easier for IT, happier end users. But what about data security? Like, that's a major issue. How do you keep your data secure? Now, most companies now have policies around what we call data minimization. And the goal here is to restrict the data that you collect to only the data that's necessary for your business purpose. Because the problem is, if you don't do that, you can very easily end up with your customer's personal identifiable information stored in a whole bunch of databases, and now you've really got a management problem. And those rules, you can put policy in place, but they're really hard to enforce. So let's look at a concrete example of how this works. Like, Neil, you've got an example of a typical corporate application that could benefit from DLP. Why don't you explain what it is?
Okay, so here we have a very typical customer support chat application that many of you in the audience might have back at work. You can see I'm helping a customer named Angela. Her Anvil isn't working. But before I can give her some advice on how to fix her Anvil, we're going to ask for her to identify herself. She's going to give us her telephone number and her national insurance ID number, common here in England. But she's giving us more than we need. She's giving us a copy of her passport, and although we're able to help her out with her problem, to fix her product, we're stuck with all this information that we're uncomfortable archiving forever in the cloud.
Right, because you clearly, this is a support conversation. You want to archive it. Maybe it's a regulatory reason. Maybe you're a bank and you have to keep records of all your customer conversations. Or maybe you just want to be a good customer service company and you want to be able to track and figure out which interactions go well. But you can't archive this, because if you do, you now have a big headache because a whole bunch of people can see Angela's personal information. But this application uses DLP, so Neil, why don't you show us what DLP can help do with this data?
Sure, I'll just finish the chat, and then I'll click End Chat. And behind the scenes, we've got Dlp Api doing data minification on this. So what you can see is, you can see my name has been removed. It's identified as a first name. We've also got the customer's name, Angela, has been removed also. Her phone number has been removed. And her national insurance number has been redacted also. But it's more than just plain text. You can see here the passport, we've removed her face, and all the information from the passport that we determined was worthy of being minified.
Great, so now this archived data is safe. Now we can store it, now it can safely be analyzed. And we recognize over 40 different types of information, so you have control over what's your definition of PII, what's the information that you care about redacting versus the information that isn't as critical. Now, just to prove this is live, a real live demo, Neil has a webcam attached to his laptop over there, and we're going to try a couple different data types. Now, before we go, these are sample credit cards. Don't think that you can go down to Hsbc or to Harrods or anything with this card, but let's go ahead and see what happens. Okay. Try it. And we get our first demo fail of the day. But this isn't a demo fail, actually, is it, Neil?
No, it's not. So this is not a real credit card number, but it also doesn't pass the real credit card number checksum. So our product isn't just demo CR. What you're seeing here is that it's recognizing that this doesn't pass the checksum, and so it's not minifying it.
That's right. This is actually intelligence service. So why don't you replace it with one that does meet the checksums?
So this one does pass the checksum. And it gets redacted.
Awesome. And I mentioned that we have 40 different info types we support, including various European ones. So Neil's got one more example here using a UK driver's license. And again, redacted the information. So there you have it. Identity-aware proxy makes it super easy to take your corporate applications, make them available to your end users. DLP gives you control over how you minimize the data that you collect so that you can analyze without worrying about accidentally sharing your customers' private information in ways that really aren't appropriate. So with that, Neil and I will turn it back over to Brian. Thanks.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Neil. So really powerful technologies. It's really easy to see the problem they solve, and underneath that is really complex technology. But the benefit of this is that it's really simple to use and it's really extensible. So we're already working on the next version. So when you looked at the combination of the security key and IAP, they're really around knowing who the user is and making sure that the user is the one sitting in front of, of that access point. But inside of Google, we're already on the next version. We're already looking at trialing more context awareness around users inside accessing our corporate apps. And that uses things like location or state of your device that you're accessing from. And so the future versions of IAP will be rolling out with better support for context awareness for even stronger security. So switching gears a little bit, according to a recent analyst report, upwards of 45% of all spend that users make towards public cloud is wasted. So it's actually spent on resources that were never even used. And so to me, that's actually pretty amazing, considering cloud's supposed to be this thing that's elastic, and you're only supposed to pay for what you use. But a big part of contributing to that 45% are these 3-year commitments that people make for some clouds in order to get the best price. And it makes sense, but the problem with that is it's almost impossible to predict exactly what you're going to need, especially over a 3-year period. And when you predict wrong and you overestimate, then you strand resources, but yet you pay for them anyway. And also, other clouds really look like an embodiment of that physical world where you're really buying and sometimes committing to these fixed virtual machine types that come in these standard configurations that don't always match what your particular needs are for your workloads. And then moreover, oftentimes you're paying for a full hour when you might have a test run that only bursts for, say, 10 minutes at a time. So, at Google, we just really believe, that to get the best price, you shouldn't have to go through all these complications. And so we've really solved all of these sources of waste of this 45%. And it started back in 2014 when we came up with the concept of sustained use discounts. And so what sustained use discounts are, you get that discount without a long-term commitment. So if your virtual machine runs for even more than 25% of a 1 month period, then we automatically calculate that and give you a discount. And if your VM runs for the full month, then you get automatically a 30% discount. But never have you made a commitment. You're still free to go. You're still free to leave. So they really sustained use discounts were really recognized by the industry as the first time that cloud was brought back into what cloud really should be. Also, you no longer have to, accept these fixed VM shapes that only come in powers of 2 like you had to deal with in the physical world. So with other providers, if your workload needed, say, 20 cores and 160 gigabytes of memory, you're often forced to buy a 40-core system and a much greater amount of memory. Right? And so you can end up wasting upwards of 2x, of what you really needed. So with GCP, can you back up thank you. So with GCP, we invented custom machine types. And with custom machine types, the shapes actually change because you can actually pick and dial in the number of cores you need and the amount of memory you need. And so what we've seen on top of GCP, our IaaS platform, that upwards of 20% of all core hours are using custom machine types today because it just is a better fit for their workload and they save money. And then we went a step further and we introduced right-sizing recommendations. And what right-sizing recommendations do is we can automatically look at your virtual machines and we can actually look at when you actually have too much memory and too much CPUs that you don't really need. And so the right-sizing recommendation service actually can send you alerts right to the console telling you that you should actually downsize your VM. And of course, we have permanent billing. So on Google Cloud, if you actually use 11 minutes of Google Cloud, you're going to pay for 11 minutes of Google Cloud and not an hour. It seems pretty logical, but it's a very hard thing to implement. But it's gotten even better because recently we came up with committed use discounts. And what committed use discounts are, and this time you do give a commitment of 1 or 3 years, right? And with that, though, you get back a 57% discount. And so that allows us to plan our fleet, but we've made them really flexible. We really looked at the pain points of reserved instances. And so with committed use discounts, you're free to change your physical machine, your machine type at any point in time from one hardware architecture to another hardware architecture without even notifying us. And then moreover, you can actually also change your VM shape. So you could be using, 1 month you could be using 20 cores with one system, or you could divide that up later and use 5 systems of 4 cores, right? It doesn't really matter to us. All you're really committing to is that you're going to use an aggregate volume of cores and an aggregate volume of VMs, and the details are up to you. And so if you're not really sure on where your commitment lies, with us it's really easy to start small. So you can put some commitment towards committed use discounts, and what happens is the overflow, if you underestimate, still gets the discount from sustained use discounts. So the cliff of underestimating is very shallow. So it's not really surprising that that same study showed that 53% of cloud users say that dealing with capacity planning and price management is their biggest pain point. So on GCP and only on GCP, it's a cloud that's truly elastic, where you only pay for what you use. You get automatic discounts the more you use, and we actually help you to reduce your spend by sending you notifications when we know you're wasting. And so when you put all this together, it's why we're usually recognized as saving users 60% relative to other clouds. So because we really believe that when you move to cloud, dealing with capacity planning and price management should be the distant memory, not your #1 pain point. So many global CIOs are going through a strategy right now where they're exiting some number of data centers, if not putting in place a multi-year plan to exit all their data centers. And you can see from that earlier chart of our geo expansion where their workload is going. The workload isn't getting shut down, it's actually moving to public cloud. But the benefit is more than cost. They get the intrinsic benefits of better security, better reliability, and then they get access to the amazing innovations once their workloads have been moved. But when you're undertaking a massive migration to cloud and you're looking at a whole data center exit strategy, you really want to minimize your costs. So you're trying to just shift your workload. It's far less work and there's less risk than actually rewriting applications. And then what happens though, that really has always just been chapter 1. Once you actually move to cloud, we see people actually then start to refactor in using Spanner or using managed SQL, taking advantage of DLP, taking advantage of machine learning, because they can do that once their workload is now on Google Cloud. So our call to action is how do we actually make this easy with both people and with technology? So on the people side, as Diane was saying, we've got an amazing set of technical teams, from our sales engineers and our solution architects, and they quickly train you and help you get your workload over to Google Cloud. We have an amazing support team backed by a world-class engineering team. Of course, you'll never hit a problem, but if you do hit a problem, they're there to support you. We have the CRE. So Google is recognized for inventing the SRE organization, the SRE job, back in 2000, and functioned right inside of the SRE organization. But what we recognize is that our customers have the same problems, because when you're putting your applications on top of Google Cloud, you have to deal with the rollout of your applications. You have to deal with the reliability of your applications. And so the CRE is a consultative organization that works with you directly on those problems. And also last year, we created the Office of the CTO. And the Office of CTO, although relatively new for Google, is a mix of recovering CTOs from industry, as well as ninja software developers. And we put these teams together, and they're helping customers that are really taking on massive undertakings and really aggressive shifts to the cloud. And they want a deep technical competency. Then often they want an industry level understanding. And so we have people from healthcare, energy, financial services, media and entertainment, high performance computing. So you really end up speaking to a deep technical expert that can help you on your journey because they've been there before. And then lastly, because of our commitment to open source is so strong, should you have issues with an open source stack, whether that be on top of Google Cloud, or whether that be in your own premise because you want to integrate with Google Cloud, very likely we can help you with that as well. So what's the best test for minimal friction when you're actually moving to cloud? It's actually to be able to migrate with zero downtime. And it seems impossible. We did that with Evernote last year. They moved their entire software infrastructure, which was all inside of their own data centers, and they moved it to Google Cloud. 200 million of their customers were moved in 70 days with zero change in service and zero downtime. And then Lush actually began their migration to GCP last September, and they finished in time for the holiday season. Pretty brave undertaking. So here's Ryan Carey of Lush, and he's going to tell us the story directly. So tell us a little bit about your challenges before last Christmas.
Yeah, sure. So if anyone's not familiar with Lush, we're a global cosmetics brand. We're present in around about 52 countries, have 900 stores worldwide, and can be known as the people who invented the bath bomb. Some of the challenges which we faced last year, probably the same as most retailers will face, is Christmas period. For us, it's Boxing Day. We have a one-day sale. It's the only sale we do each year, and people, for some reason, go crazy for it. So, same sort of issues as I was mentioning, retailers will face. It's outages, scalability problems also as well. So beforehand, very much really had vertical capacity, and hence the main reasons why we did the migration was to start looking at other ways of being able to scale, in this case horizontal.
So you had this done by Christmas. What did your team do about it?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing that the team undertook was we did the migration to Google Cloud. Otherwise, we'd be in the wrong conference. So the main focus was ultimately, by the time we did all the agreements, we allocated our partners. So we worked with some great partners. Some of them are here. We had Clarinet. We also had Chorus as well. We had 22 days to do the actual migration itself. That included 17 websites, including our iOS and Android suites, but also as well our till system as well, because it also is powered off the back of Google Cloud. Ultimately, we had databases ranging from a few gigabytes over to hundreds of gigabytes, not quite petabytes, but still quite an ample amount of data when we're looking at the amount of websites we had to transfer over. But the main part was that GCP made this easy, very intuitive UI. What I've got to put and stress here is over those 22 days, we're also training our engineering team. They weren't familiar with Google Cloud either, so it just shows how easy it is to kind of embrace it and take it on. And then really using products like cloud storage and cloud SQL, it really did speed up that process for us. And now we have the benefit of horizontal scaling, but also as well, we have the ability to move forward now and use new architectural trends.
Great. So another layup question. Were you happy with the results?
More than happy with the results. The team were great. They definitely embraced it. We saw around 40% reduction in hosting costs. Using preemptible devices now going forward also as well. We're about to see a further saving there as well. And also as well, as we were saying, purchasing the instances as well up front, we can start to see further savings there. But the biggest part for us is we've got the flexibility and control is now back in Lush's hands. It's where we've always wanted to be, rather than using a sort of a platform as a service. We want to be able to embrace it and make the decisions ourselves, but also as well ethical alignment. Open source is a big part of what Lush does. We're very driven by that, but also as well using renewable energy as well. So everything that we do inside our technology arm, we want to make sure is powered by 100% renewable energy as well. And the alignment for that is great because Google has also vouched to kind of get to there at the end of 2017 as well. But again, it's allowed us to future-proof going forward.
Right. So you're clearly further ahead than many companies, maybe on the live stream.
Yeah.
Maybe here. What advice would you give to them?
I would say go ahead and do it. It's a big bag of fun. Especially, I think the main factors really are tight timelines, bring teams together. It allows them the ability to shine, but also as well achieve those goals. The success of this project ultimately came down to the right team, the right people, the right partners, and being bold ultimately. And Lush is very renowned for being bold and trying to achieve the unachievable. And we were able to prove that with Google Cloud.
Thanks, Ryan.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
So on the technology side, to make all of this easier when you're moving to cloud, recently we added capability right inside the Google Cloud Console to actually migrate a virtual machine to cloud. And this is more than just transcoding. It's not just taking an offline image and converting it from one hypervisor format to another hypervisor format. It's actually a live migration. And moreover, it's actually source agnostic. So it can migrate a running operating system and a running VM from bare metal, from KVM, from Xen, ESX, Hyper-V, and even another cloud provider. But, even as companies move to public cloud, for many, living in the on-premise world is still going to be a perpetual state, right? So some amount of the resources are going to be on both sides, hybrid cloud, if you will. And so for them, we wanted to minimize that friction of living in that perpetual state. And so when we started our cloud with App Engine, and then later with virtual machines, we wanted to offer a container service, because internally inside of Google, it's well known that the software architecture is called the Borg, and that was a container-based architecture. And so we wanted to bring a container-based orchestration model to cloud users on GCP. So we had the choice of we understand this really well, we should just build a proprietary service and be best. But we realized with that, we would only be helping the people that moved entirely to GCP and not those that lived in a hybrid world. So the decision was made to open source, and that was what was the beginnings of what became Kubernetes. And Kubernetes, the orchestration system, has now become that de facto management system for Docker. And what that means is not only is it vibrant and open source, what it means is that now our enterprise customers are running Kubernetes on premise, and then they're integrating that with the GKE service, the container managed service on Google Cloud. So it gives them a consistent application stack as well as a orchestration management for those container-based applications. So it's really powerful. So not only do they get the benefits on the Google Cloud side, they get the benefits on the enterprise side as well. So GCP, we aim to make it, as great for Windows developers and Windows stacks as it already is for Linux and open source software. But our goal isn't to be just an okay Windows platform. We aim to be an exceptional Windows platform. We already have support and pre-built images for a ton of flavors of Windows Server as well as SQL Server. We have support for Active Directory in cloud that can integrate with your domain controller on premise. And then for developers, we didn't want them to have to change a bunch of things that they're already using inside of their Windows shops. So we actually integrated directly with Visual Studio. So with Visual Studio, you can now manage your cloud resources or deploy .NET apps. And we also integrated hundreds of PowerShell commandlets into our own SDKs and console, so you can administer your cloud projects that way. And then recently, we've been adding SQL Server Enterprise, including HA support and clustering. We added a beta of .NET for App Engine and Container Engine. And we created a Windows Partner Program with our partners, so should you need extra help in migrating. I think the visual's off by, can you go forward on the visual once? Thank you. So when you're developing applications today, new applications today, it's most likely that you're building a mobile application backed by cloud, and in many cases, integrating AI. And so for that reason, still off by one. Okay, we need the visual. Okay, sorry about this. For that reason, we've actually been integrating Firebase more closely with Google Cloud, right? And with that, you can now actually access services inside of Google Cloud using the Firebase SDKs. And Firebase has emerged to be a really powerful framework, and it's already used. 1 million projects were created on Firebase just last year. So part of what we've done is we've integrated it with Google Cloud Storage. So now with a Firebase developer kit, you can access any GCS bucket in any region around the world, and you can actually, from your mobile app, you can upload and download objects that are living in Google Cloud Storage directly. And we've also added analytics. Analytics are built into Firebase, and users use those, developers of apps use those to understand their user engagement. But what you can do is you can then take the data from Firebase Analytics and you can export it into GCP. And when you do that, you can actually ingest it, other data sources into BigQuery and data labs. And then you actually can get an even richer view across your user sentiment. We also integrated Firebase into Google Cloud Functions. And what that allows you to do is Cloud Functions allows you to extend the backend service of Firebase. And you can extend it based on many key events. It could be an event that when a piece of object storage is accessed, or a new Firebase auth request comes in. And then these events fires in Cloud Functions, and you can use them to send a push notification. You can use them to invoke a machine learning process on a piece of data. And then lastly, because we like lawyers almost as much as we like developers, it was completely different contracts when you use Firebase and you use Google Cloud before. So we've integrated them into a single terms of service, and then soon you'll be able to use largely the same contract for Firebase as you do for GCP. And we'll be making more integrations over the coming months with Firebase and Google Cloud. And now Greg is back, this time with Martin. He's going to show you how GCP and Firebase can be used for sitting in front of legacy apps also. Greg?
Thanks, everyone.
As Brian mentioned, we're going to show an example of taking a fairly typical on-prem enterprise application and how we can modernize it and move it to the cloud sort of all at one time. Now, the application example that we're going to use is a pretty typical Microsoft ASP.NET application, the kind of thing you'd see in corporations all over the place. In this case, it's an example of an application that an insurance company might use, where the adjuster goes out, they take pictures of a car accident, they upload the photos with their laptop. The app also has an API on it so that you can manipulate and control the images that are stored. So we're going to start with this by modernizing it and creating a mobile front end so that our agents actually can be out in the field. And what better way to create a mobile application than with Firebase? Firebase makes it possible to create a cloud-powered back end without even having to spell cloud. It allows client-side developers to easily create cloud-powered applications. Now, one of the powerful things is that Firebase integrates with cloud storage. So the line of code that Martin has highlighted here is the line of code that will use the camera on the phone, take a picture, and upload that picture into a cloud storage bucket, a GCS bucket. It's really just that one line of code. So to show you that this actually works, why don't we switch over to the phone on the screen. Martin has this Firebase application running. He's going to take a picture of all of you just as a test. So he takes the picture, he uploads it, and the gods of corporate Wi-Fi are pleased, so it is uploaded. And now to show you that it really is uploaded, let's switch over, let's switch back to the laptop. And he's going to list that bucket. Now, you Windows developers and admins out there will recognize he's using PowerShell. So he's using Google's cloud tools for PowerShell, which give him a very PowerShell-friendly way of interacting with cloud resources like storage and compute and network. So in this case, we do find that there was a picture that was updated this morning. Great, so we've got the application. We have a mobile app, it uploads photos. How do we connect those photos that are in GCS to this legacy ASP.NET application? Now, the good news is I mentioned that this application has an API. The bad news is this application was probably written sometime around 2000, 2001, which means it's probably a SOAP API, not a modern RESTful one. So let's see if we can take this application API out of Spice Girls and make it more Ed Sheeran. So we'll start by using Apigee. Apigee is a really complete enterprise tool for API management. I could talk for a long time about Apigee's capabilities. I'm going to focus just on a couple. One is it can automatically convert web services SOAP APIs into a very modern JSON format. Developers in the audience, if you look down as he's zoomed in, the left side is the WSDL format that the web service told him, and that's a very 2000 looking format. The right side is this RESTful JSON that was automatically created. He didn't have to do anything. He just pointed Apigee at the web service, and he gets a RESTful equivalent. Now, Apigee does a lot more than just API translation. If you see those badges up at the top, we also have a quota turned on, because this application probably can't handle a massive number of simultaneous web requests. So Martin has decided to put a quota on it to limit the rate that the APIs are called. He's also put authorization on it, because if we're going to have mobile apps talking, we probably want to control what mobile apps and what users are actually able to do something with it. Now, there's a lot more Apigee features for enterprise API management, but for now, we'll call it good that we've converted the API and we've put a quota and authorization. So, we got our images sitting in the GCS bucket. We've got our nice friendly API. How do we connect the two? Well, I could stand up a VM or a bunch of VMs, but like that's really overkill, right? All I want to do is when a new file is added to the bucket, I want to send it to this application. It's a perfect example of the sort of glue code that makes up most modern cloud-based applications. It's perfect for serverless environments like Cloud Functions. With Cloud Functions, I don't deploy an entire VM. This code here, this JavaScript, is the entire code that actually gets deployed. It's listening on that GCS bucket so that any time a change is made, this function gets invoked, and you'll see what he's doing there is he's actually invoking that nice RESTful web service that we just got created. So great. With that, everything should be tied together. Let's see if the app actually can make an update all the way back into the legacy application. So we don't have a car crash on stage. So Martin, what do you got for us?
Well, I've got professional simulation equipment here. Ready?
This is our version of scaled down. So go ahead.
Oh, crash. And now let's assess the damage.
So let's switch to the phone. Yes, that's nice. We like seeing the car over there. Can we get the phone on the main screen? Yeah. There we go. So take the picture. Oh, I like that there's an agent there too. I didn't see that. Very nice. Okay, so that's uploaded. Now, to prove that it's uploaded, let's switch back to the legacy app. And because it's a legacy app, we have to hit F5 to refresh, because remember, it's 2000. And sure enough, there's both of the pictures that we just saw have been migrated all the way through. Now, yes, please. Now, the last thing is, remember, this is an on-prem application running, I was going to say in a data center, but it's probably running under someone's desk, truth be told. So how do we fix that bug? Brian talked about the migration wizard, or the migration tool. Martin will start that up, and in about 45 minutes, this entire running server, its disk, its memory, everything, will be copied and live migrated into a cloud instance, ready for me to shut down my existing application and have a fully cloud-based application that benefits from all that amazing infrastructure that we've already heard about. So that's it. Complete set of tools for you to take your existing applications, not just lift and shift them, but lift, modernize, and improve them along the way. So with that, Martin and I will say thanks, and we'll turn it back over to Brian.
Great, thanks Greg, thanks Martin. And I want to thank you for your time this morning. Hopefully I get a chance to talk to at least some of you over the next 2 days. And so now it's my pleasure to introduce my partner in crime and my better dressed half, Prabhakar Raghavan, the Vice President of Apps for Google Cloud.
Thanks, Brian, and good morning, London. I'm here to talk about our collaboration and productivity suite. And it's really been a bit of a journey for us over 10 years. So many of you are familiar with the consumer apps, Gmail, Google Docs, Calendar, Hangouts, Drive, that you know and love. And this morning, I'm here to talk to you about how we're bringing this to meet the needs of the enterprise. Today, 3 of these applications that I just mentioned are deployed on over 1 billion smartphones. But as we move to address the needs of the enterprise, as Sebastien mentioned at the beginning, we have over 3 million paying businesses that power their everyday work using these productivity tools. Now, 6 months ago, we branded these applications collectively as the G Suite. And it's been quite a tear since then. We've had over 300 launches. And with that, we've built in the notion of an early adopter program so that we no longer build our applications for consumers and toss it over the wall to companies. But in fact, in the final stages of development, we work really closely with our business partners to get the applications just right at the end. Great. So with this, we've also begun to create enterprise-only applications. So 3 that I'll call out are the Jamboard, which is the first fully collaborative digital whiteboard in the cloud. And you'll see a demonstration in tomorrow's keynote. AppMaker, which is an app development environment that I'll show you a video of in a bit. And Google Cloud Search, which is the first fully cloud-based enterprise-wide search engine that we won't be talking about here in London, but we've launched this with great success already. Right. Now, at the center of collaborative work is content. And I'm pleased to share with you today that Google Drive, our personal storage solution, is used today by over 800 million monthly active users, and is well on its way to becoming Google's next billion-user product. That's great, but what can we do beyond? We are actually committed to taking this premier personal storage solution and elevating it to the needs of the enterprise. And I'm going to give you a series of milestones as we mark this journey from personal storage to enterprise file serving. First, we've introduced team drives. So what are team drives? It's a place for teams to collaborate. And this is part of our recognition that over the last 30 years, personal productivity has evolved into team productivity. And really, my team and I obsess over how to make teams more productive every single day. And so team drives is a place where members of a team can collaborate on files, share discussions, and so on. You say, great, but what about the enterprise controls, the audits, litigation holds, all that grungy stuff that you need? Right? And I'm pleased to say that Google Vault, our e-archiving solution, is now available to cover Drive as well. So you're covered on that front. Okay? You said that's good, but most of my content is on-prem file servers. So what good is it if you have this solution in the cloud? So we've acquired Vancouver-based AppBridge, which is a company that builds data connectors from on-prem file servers up into the cloud so that all of this cloud moves securely into Google Drive in the cloud. Now, that's fine, you say, but most of my users, they use Windows laptops or Macs. How do they access this magic? And in fact, with the launch of Drive File Stream, it's becoming possible now for Mac and Windows users to operate every day as if Google Drive were appended to their laptops. So they don't have to think about how much hard drive quota they have on their desks. They don't have to worry about managing files back and forth. It functions seamlessly. We take care of all of that magic behind the scenes so that it functions seamlessly as if Google Drive, with all its cloud storage and all your content, is available right there in your laptop. Right, so what? So you've got your laptop connected to Google Drive in the cloud. It's covered by all of this Google Vault technology. That's good, but where does this take us? And the road we're going to point you to is once your data is in the cloud, the magic of Google Artificial Intelligence, which so many of my colleagues have been talking about, is now available. And I'll just give you a hint, a preview of something we'll talk about tomorrow, which is Google Quick Access. The idea is, this is the 21st century. You should not have to come to a file repository and search for files and browse for them and filter them and spend a minute or two just looking for that one file you know is there. It's up to us, it's for Google, to predictively figure that out and serve it up to you even before you ask. And I'll say more about this tomorrow. Great. So that was about Drive, which is just one of the products in our suite, along with Gmail, Docs, Calendar, and so on. But it's far too limiting to think of these as siloed applications. Really, the question on your minds is, how does this fit in the enterprise? How do you build workflows? How do you make it seamless and easy for users to use these applications together? And this is where our APIs and add-ons come into the picture. So let me share a couple of recent announcements we made with this. The first is our Sheets API, which allows your legacy data sources to export their content into Google Sheets, where you can manipulate them, analyze them, and so on, and then potentially write it back to that repository. But it really makes that analysis super simple. Our Slides API is similar in principle, but the idea now is to ingest that content from your on-premise data sources or wherever, and then make it available for visualization so that you can have rich data exports. That's great, but there's more coming. And to tell you about this next, I want you to think for a second about digressions and interruptions in the workplace. Our studies show that any time you're on your primary work surface and there's an interruption, a colleague comes and taps you on your shoulder, there's a little notification on a different browser tab. You go do that and come back, and you've already lost a good 20 minutes on average. Okay, think of that, 20 minutes of productivity from your primary work surface. So we obsessed about how you could get more and more of your work done right in your primary work surface. And with that idea, we thought about Gmail add-ons. And so rather than I tell you about Gmail add-ons, I'm going to call upon my colleague, Thijs, from our Zurich office, who led the development of Gmail add-ons, to come and tell us more. Thijs, come on board, please.
Thank you, Prabhakar. We all know how important our mailbox is at work. It's the central hub from where we communicate everything. It's a central command, so you will. And most of us, we actually spend quite a lot of time switching between Gmail and other types of productivity apps for tasks like project management, CRM, or invoicing. And that's why we introduced Gmail add-ons. It's a new framework that allows developers to integrate their enterprise workflows right into Gmail, at the context where your users need it the most. And all of this is resulting into a native experience in the Gmail apps across Android, iOS, and also on web, of course. As a developer, you only develop your add-on once, but it will run in Gmail in all the different platforms. To show you the power of Gmail add-ons, I'd like to show you a demo of an add-on that Intuit is building for QuickBooks Online. Tons of QuickBooks customers today are using Gmail at the center of what they do. It's basically they communicate with vendors as well as with their clients. Let's take Craig, for example. He runs an interior design business. And while he's queuing up at Cafe Nero, he receives an email from a customer, Sarah. And normally, in order to deal with this request for an invoice, Craig would need to leave the Gmail app, and he would need to head over to QuickBooks Online, log in, and get the whole process started to create an invoice. However, now with this new add-on, it's just a matter of tapping on the QB button, and he brings up the Intuit QuickBooks add-on right from the bottom of the screen. And this add-on allows Craig to create an invoice right from the context of his mailbox. And as you can see here, the add-on already automatically detected a lot of the context from the email and pre-filled Sarah's information in the invoice. So now all Craig has to do is fill out a bunch of the remaining details before he presses send, and then the invoice is sent off to Sarah, right from there. Now what Craig also can do from this add-on is he can check on the status of previously sent invoices. So he can tap on this button, and he can see, for example, for another customer, Devon, that he paid his invoice very recently. So that's all good. So now he can grab his coffee and can get back to what he loves doing most, actually, which is interior design and not creating invoices. So Intuit developed their add-on only once, and it runs in Gmail across all 3 platforms. Gmail add-ons right now is open for developer preview signups. And if you have an enterprise workflow application, head over to g.co/Gmail add-ons to request an invite right now. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Thijs. Gmail add-ons are, as Thijs said, in developer preview and will be available generally by the end of this year. Good. One of the things we really thought about was, what does it take to meet the needs of the high-velocity application development that businesses demand today in the cloud? You saw several examples from Greg and Brian, where our focus was really on making things super simple. Development tool for corporate applications that build on these applications that we've created, Gmail, Docs, Drive, etc. And rather than I talk about it, we're going to roll a video here where we let some of our customers do the talking. Can we roll the video, please?
You're on Google, and you're enjoying the collaboration of products, mail, calendar, contacts. However, you also have this need for business process to be automated.
Our agency, they don't have the money to do a full-fledged app. They just need something simple that makes their life easier. Right now we have the blue form because it's a blue sheet of paper.
The Wyoming Flexible Benefits Enrollment Plan.
You're filling it out and signing it, and then they have to data entry all that back in. 10,000 people, a lot of blue trees.
We were able to make this an app maker.
We showed it to our HR department, and they were so excited.
Honestly, at first I was very skeptical. It just seemed too easy. Like, oh yeah, I drag and drop a couple little things. What do I care? I'm a real developer. I don't use these little gadgets. But as I got to use the tool more, I was like, ideation all the way through the final delivered app to our administrators for them to use was 5 weeks. And that's just unheard of in any other kind of product lifecycle.
Why App Maker? Because not everyone is me. I really like working deep down in the code, working low level. The great thing about App Maker is you don't need to have that deep down knowledge. People are able to make these really snazzy looking applications that can be used by an entire company.
I never pictured myself developing anything. App Maker is an insanely awesome way to solve a small problem.
App Maker makes my job easier because I don't need multiple tools. I can just develop it directly on App Maker.
One word to describe App Maker: simple,
quick, flexible,
versatile,
empowering.
One word to describe App Maker: game changer.
Great. Good. So with that, I hope we've conveyed to you how we are building G Suite to meet you at the needs of the enterprise. In tomorrow's keynote, I'll be back with several of my colleagues, and we really focus on two things. The first is how we are infusing all of our products with the power of Google's artificial intelligence. And second, we'll spend some time talking about how we really want to transform team collaboration. We'll demonstrate the digital whiteboard in the cloud, as well as new experiences for chat and video conferencing. With that, I'd like to bring back on stage Sebastien to close it out.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhakar. Super exciting innovation around G Suite. I can't wait tomorrow for seeing this artificial intelligence demos. So we're going to have a lot of demos tomorrow. This is the end of the morning, and I want to do a few things. Number one, I want to thank all the speakers, and especially our customers that came on stage to share their very inspiring stories. It was really great, actually, to see Hsbc and testimonying about their great projects that we are going and journey we are going to run together. I think one of the best conclusions I can have actually came from Ryan from Lush. It was great to hear him that you are in the right conference first, and you need just to go ahead and do it. Not only because it's fun, but because really it's going to change your business and build a lot of competitive advantage for your business. So this is what we care about. This is what we are passionate about, as I said earlier on. So a few things to close. Number one, I need your contribution for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a lot of demonstration. We love demonstration. We have run a few today, but tomorrow is going to be even more demonstration. And there are a few things we really want to demonstrate on stage. One being machine learning, artificial intelligence, and we need your contribution. So just have a quick read at this slide. You need to go on the app marketplace. Please download this application from our partner, CNIT Capture. And it's going to be fun. We will ask your contribution to shoot some videos, and you will see the power and the magic of machine learning tomorrow. We're going to play with these videos, and we'll go through a very cool demonstration. So that's one. The other thing that I really encourage you to do, we have spent, again, a lot of time to build these breakout sessions. We are going through 60 different breakout sessions in the next coming minutes and hours. It's a great opportunity to really learn what we are doing and the benefits we are providing, we can provide to your organization. We are also lined up some architecture meetings with our system architect, and this is also great to plan things for your next projects. You will learn more about operations also at the 5th, 9th area. And well, at the end of the day, we have all our experts lined up for you in the next coming hours. And tomorrow will be very, very fun tomorrow morning with a lot of demonstrations. So I wish you a great afternoon, a great conference, and I hope to see you, all of you, tomorrow morning for the second keynote session. Thank you very much.